House Republicans are expected to vote Wednesday to remove Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney as their party conference chair. She's currently the third highest-ranking member of the GOP and the highest-ranking female. A growing number of lawmakers have joined former President Donald Trump in recent days to endorse New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to replace her. Congresswoman Cheney is an outspoken critic of Mr. Trump's false election claims. She also voted in favor of his impeachment after the January 6th insurrection. The Congresswoman's rift with GOP leadership and the former president was a hot topic in the Sunday morning political shows.
Well, it's sort of a circular firing squad where we're just attacking members of our own party instead of focusing on solving problems or standing up and having an argument that we can debate the Democrats on some of the things that the Biden administration is pushing through.
For a deeper dive, let's bring in White House reporter for The Washington Post, Tyler Pager. Tyler, thanks for being here. Congresswoman Liz Cheney has publicly opposed President Biden on everything from his immigration policy to the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. What's really driving this decision to oust her, and who are the primary forces behind it?
Yeah, so the big conversation right now in the Republican Party is what role should former President Donald Trump play in the future of the party as it gears up for the midterms and then puts up a candidate to run for the presidential nomination in 2024. And Liz Cheney has come down on the side that the party needs to move beyond Trump. She has reprimanded him, criticized him, and, as alluded to, voted to impeach him. And so as the Republican Party splinters, as she leads a small group of people wanting to move away from Trump's influence in the party, she's finding herself in the minority. And that is clashing with her leadership role in the House Republican caucus. And so as people are tying themselves even closer to former President Trump, like House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, she is increasingly at odds with him and the leadership. And so it's coming to a head with this move to kick her out of leadership and replace her with someone who is more loyal to President Trump and the leadership at this point.
But, Tyler, there was outrage originally when Congresswoman Cheney took the positions that she did and calls for her to be removed. And she weathered those initial storms. What's happening right now that has changed things? And are there any signs that Cheney might resign?
Yeah, so I think initially Republicans stood behind her and said they supported, her right to make her own decision. And as she said, vote based on her conscience. But I think they've been increasingly frustrated that she has continued to criticize the former president. They see the president as crucial to their ability to win back the House and to challenge Biden in 2024. And so they've been frustrated by her continued criticism of the former president and thought that, that first vote where they kept her in leadership would be a détente and they could move forward as a united front. But with the fissures in the party over the president's role, it is becoming increasingly clear that they are not willing to have someone in leadership who routinely speaks out against the former president. And so, it doesn't seem like there's no sign that she's going to resign immediately, given that they're going to move toward a vote and likely remove her and replace her with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy just endorsed today for the number 3 position.
So you brought up Congresswoman Stefanik. Let's talk a little bit more about why she is being endorsed by so many leaders of the GOP, including former President Trump. What should people know about Congresswoman Stefanik, the New York Congresswoman, and why has she become the most likely replacement?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's quite interesting about Elise Stefanik is her transition from someone who was not very supportive of President Trump at the beginning of his term to someone who has emerged as one of his most vocal and strident defenders. She often criticized the president at the beginning of his term. In 2018, she openly clashed with Republican leadership over their strategy to recruit more women into the Republican ranks in the House, forming her own super PAC and publicly clashing with leadership at the time. However, she has made quite a change to someone who has become one of the president's most vocal defenders. And that happened during the first impeachment trial of President Trump, when she was part of his defense team and really emerged as a strong ally for the president and has continued to be one through the turmoil that has created that has emerged in the Republican caucus. And so now she's become the clear favorite to replace Cheney because she is seen as someone who will stay in line with the Republican leadership and be a vocal proponent of Trump's role in the party.
Let's switch gears and talk about the most recent jobs report. Numbers released Friday showed a disappointing 266,000 jobs were created in April. The numbers for March were also revised to show just 146,000 jobs added, far less than the original tally of 770,000. I'm going to play first what President Biden had to say about it.
We never thought that after the first 50 or 60 days, everything would be fine. Today, there's more evidence that our economy is moving in the right direction. But it's clear we have a long way to go. All told, our economy has added more than 1,500,000 new jobs since I took office. That's the most number of jobs created in the first 3 months of any presidency in our history. Just for perspective, in these 3 months before I got here, the economy added about 60,000 jobs a month, not 500,000.
So President Biden trying to spin that in a way that's positive for him. He's, of course, planning to meet with Republican lawmakers next week to discuss his jobs and families plan. How might this jobs report actually impact those conversations?
Yeah, so the Biden administration and officials in the White House see this jobs report as extra motivation to push forward with their jobs plan, saying that this is a solution to the problem, that they will create more jobs and fix some of the issues in the economy as a result of the pandemic that has stymied the full recovery. And so I think, they were disappointing numbers across the board. But as they move forward with these conversations, they see it as a way to undergird those conversations and implore them the necessity of passing this jobs plan. I think, it remains to be seen whether or not they're going to be able to get any Republicans on board for this massive infrastructure proposal that, they've divided into two parts as the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan. But as they have these conversations with Republicans this week, we can expect them to continue to point to this jobs report as evidence that more needs to be done from the federal government.
All right. Tyler Pager, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.